we've found the missing link that connects a dot that's really important in the world of industrial automation. For a long time, the word RTU, remote terminal unit, has seemed to be a very old school, very legacy concept, outdated, not obsolete so much as just outdated. I think that some of the really amazing things that we've got in the toolbox for managing utility and grid SCADA and RTUs in the field, that these tools in the toolbox are extremely useful for managing a highly connected, digitized and digitally transformed manufacturing sector. So, well, nothing like shooting a little video at a motorway gas station south of Brussels, Belgium, near Nivelles. Just finished up a crazy week in the Netherlands and Belgium looking at the future of telecontrol and RTU technology. So here's the funny thing. We like to say everything that was old is now new again. And I think we've found the missing link that connects a dot that's really important in the world of industrial automation. For a long time, the word RTU, remote terminal unit, has seemed to be a very old school, very legacy concept, outdated, not obsolete so much as just outdated. And of course, in the network that I'm in, which is dominated by folks involved in factory automation. So the kinds of industrial automation applications that involve manufacturing goods or manufacturing intermediate products that are used to make goods. And I think we should probably take a step back, or at least, take a step up and rise above the noise and the stereotypes on the different technologies that are used in industrial automation, which again spans everything from discrete manufacturing, so manufacturing products and getting them packaged, to doing process industry, which is all about making bulk goods. If you think about petrochemicals or other types of intermediate products. And this is where we take raw materials and that come out the ground or that we extract from nature and transform them using very often chemical processes to form intermediate products. And of course, those intermediate products that are produced in bulk in continuous processes are then used to manufacture actual, consumer goods or things that are made in batches or lots. Behind all of that, or maybe supporting all of that or enabling all of that, is this other side of industrial automation, which is the notion of the grid or the utility. So electricity, water, both clean water and wastewater processing, moving goods, particularly raw materials or intermediate products, across great distances. So think about pipelines that are used to convey crude oil or maybe even refined products, so products that have come out of process industry. So this really is the world of the grid or the utility space. And that is actually the world that I come from. I started my career working in the electricity industry. So I worked for the national power utility in South Africa. And so my grounding is actually telecontrol and SCADA systems for managing and operating the power distribution network. I don't come from a factory automation background. And so my starting point was very much in a world of networked, highly interconnected SCADA systems where you had master stations and outstations. So I grew up within a world where we would refer to the OT devices as RTUs, remote terminal units. And effectively, a remote terminal unit, really all it is a way of providing access to I/O, to inputs and outputs. Could be discrete, so binary, 0, 1, or they could be analog, meaning I've got a continuous signal, for example, a 4 to 20 milliamp current loop. And that is pretty much what we find at the interface to the actual equipment out there. So what makes an RTU interesting is that it is always being part of a wide area network. So there's always been a telecommunications component to this type of SCADA. And somewhere along the line, I think as we've become so focused on certainly digital transformation in factories, manufacturing, that we've put all of our emphasis onto PLCs, right? Programmable logic controllers, which again, if you look at many factories out there today, you have PLCs that are embedded inside machines, and very often they aren't actually connected, or they're designed to have a local function. PLC, HMI, machine equipment panel, and the idea of having telecommunication capabilities built into a PLC just really wasn't something that was considered necessary. I think, and again, this last week has been absolutely fascinating to reconnect with the world of telecontrol and how the lines between an RTU, a PLC, and even a distributed control system node, a DCS node, those lines are really blurred, okay? But we're still clinging to these old stereotypes. PLC is not an RTU, and an RTU is not a PLC. And I'm kind of doubtful that about maintaining the stereotype. I don't think it's actually healthy for the industry. And I think that some of the really amazing things that we've got in the toolbox for managing utility and grid SCADA and RTUs in the field, that these tools in the toolbox are extremely useful for managing a highly connected, digitized and digitally transformed manufacturing sector. So again, I think in the same way that taking the last several years of experience and track record inside both process industry and discrete manufacturing industry here at FieldCloud, and bringing that perspective as an outsider back into the grid world, and then taking obviously what we're seeing now as opportunities to reinvent, as I say, taking things that were considered to be very old concepts and making them new again, and bringing that back into the factory automation world. So taking really interesting concepts that we have in grid automation